Hello, it's nice to be with you again. My name is Wole and it's the Way Show. Thank you for joining us today. Sunday, the 3rd of October. I was about to say November there. October, beg your pardon. The year 2021. And yeah, it's nice to be back with you again after a few weeks off. And we're back here. And today we are going to be talking all things football. We're going to be talking about football. We're going to be talking about academies. We're going to be talking about football development in Africa, especially zeroing in on an African country called Cameroon. And obviously, as you know, Cameroon is going to be hosting the next AFCON. So AFCON is a gathering of the best of African football, where the African champions is going to be um, um, decided. So, and you obviously know Cameroon. Cameroon is one of those countries that you can never discount when it comes to football. Obviously, when you hear about Cameroon, you know about the likes of Roger Millet and Rigobert Song. So many great sons of Cameroon that's come out, and thrilled the world of football outside. Shores of Africa and obviously within the shores of Africa. Today, I've got someone who is doing wonderfully well. Has got a project that is ongoing in Cameroon. He is someone who obviously has the football at heart, who has the love of that country and obviously the love of the continent. Um, with us today, his name is Paul Dreisbach. Paul, thank you so much for joining us on this show. I was just saying backstage before we started the show. I was talking about how thrilled we are, and we had to cross paths via a third party who I
hmm
know obviously will be watching the show today, all the way from South Africa. Who obviously introduced you to us, and we was really excited to know the magic you're performing in Cameroon. But before we go into that, um, tell us a little bit about yourself, Paul, and welcome to
Yeah.
the show.
Yeah. Thank you, Wole. Thank you so much. I'm
Mhm.
excited to be here and chat about development, football, ourselves, what's going on. So, yeah, I'm really excited. Thank you. Yeah, my name is Paul Dreisbach. I'm the co founder of Petrichor, a football development organization in Cameroon. We've been going now for about 5 years, and our model's a bit unique. I'm sure we'll chat about that in the show.
Yeah,
But yeah, our goal is really to provide structure and framework for youth pathways and development throughout the country, just to create consistent touch points with coaches and communities, and also provide player pathways for very talented players as well. So yeah, trying to serve a lot of those touch points, but also just like create that opportunity for a kid to jump on a field and have a great game and put a smile on their face. Yeah.
brilliant. And I suppose the question that comes to people watching would be, and obviously to me myself personally, would be: was he a footballer? Did he play football? Was he a manager? How come football? So, Paul, did you play football in the past?
What do you think?
Um, I say yes. I say yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always kind of funny when people ask. So yeah, I mean, I grew up. I started playing football when I was as young as I can remember.
Mm,
Played growing up, and I actually grew up overseas. So yeah, played a lot of different tournaments and leagues.
mhm.
And then I actually played in university. That's where I met my co-founder Jordan Cohn, who lives in Cameroon. So we met at university and played for a school in the Midwest in the United States. Yeah, so played all 4 years there, and then I guess my highest level, I played kind of semi-pro in France for a
Mhm.
year when my wife and I lived there. So yeah, I played for a small kind of regional team, and that was great. So that's kind of the highest I got, but I had a great time doing it.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, it's better you are giving to football what you are giving to football right now than playing. And if you notice, I actually did not say did you play soccer. I said football, obviously,
Perfect.
because there's that argument about should
Yeah,
it be
yeah.
called soccer or should it be called football. But for argument's sake, I'm for you know this part of the pond that we are in is always football, not soccer. So
yeah, sorry if I said that. I'm confused by who I talk to all the time. Yeah.
Anyway, Paul. So tell me, why Cameroon? Why why not France? Or why not the United States? Why Cameroon?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, there's obviously so much need everywhere, and a lot of developing countries or places where kids don't have access to, organized leagues or pathways. I would say a few kind of direct answers would be, my wife grew up in Central African Republic, so the country right next to it.
Oh.
So she has, a lot of experience in that area. I've been there a couple of times. So we kind of, fell in love with that area and saw the need for, some organized leagues to jump in and help create those opportunities for kids. I would say the main reason was our co-founder. He works at an international school there in Cameroon, and he was, I think he was coaching at a D3 level, after work, just trying to get involved in the football community there. And as he went through, a few years of coaching, some of the federation and some of his coaches, some of the representatives, just, I think they got a coffee and were chatting, like, hey, can you help us create some of the, structure underneath the professional levels for the kids to kind of move their way up through, and just to kind of organize it a bit. So honestly, that's where it started, to be honest, that conversation right there. So he gave me a call, I was currently and still here in Portland, and he was like, hey, I've been asked to help out with this. I'm kind of busy, but do you want to jump in and help me figure this out with the team there in Cameroon? So yeah, 5 years ago, that's where it started. And, now we've come a long way and have a long way to go, but yeah, that kind of answers the question, hopefully.
Yeah, and I was having a look at your website whilst I was digging up on what you've been doing, and you've impacted the lives of about 100,000 young players every year in Cameroon. That's massive. How do you cope doing all that?
Yeah, honestly, so that's our vision. We hope to do that. I think we have, but from 5 years ago, we started with 15 academies under our model, and that was a few thousand kids. So over that time, we've been able to impact, thousands and thousands. But what the 100,000 number is kind of our vision. That's our goal. That's where we want to be. So,
okay.
Yeah, right. I can't say necessarily we've done that yet, but that's right. What we're shooting for, and hopefully beyond that.
I've seen comments coming in on our chat area, and where people have been talking that, well, this is not, you're basically not an academy, are you, to start with?
Yeah, great question. I'd love to talk about that. So, when we were just starting, like I said, we kind of began in response to a question to help provide some structure and organization. So, in answering that question, we didn't think starting an academy would necessarily solve that problem, because the problem we were trying to help with was more of that youth structure, league development, rec league play, all the way up through, player pathways into pro teams. So, starting an academy didn't necessarily answer that question best. So what we decided was, let's start an association model where we can provide resources, support, curriculum, coaches ed to existing academies in Cameroon. So we decided to, hey, let's be an association and just gather everyone together that's already passionate and they're already doing this, and let's empower them to take it to the next level, because they're the ones doing it, every day. So that's why we started an association where we can work with multiple academies and thousands of kids, as opposed to kind of a select exclusive amount of players, which is the typical academy model, which is great. If that's your mission, that's totally fine. We just thought, in response to some of those questions, we switched the model up a bit.
And the next question, I suppose, would be, you got an invitation from, I suppose, people down there in Cameroon to help you create a pathway, and you've mentioned severally pathway structure, and this is something massive that we lack in Africa, and obviously an African myself, I'll definitely say that. At any point since you started about 5 years ago that there's been any sort of loggerheads with probably the Cameroonian Football Association people, or probably people that organize the league in Cameroon? Do they not see you as probably a competition, probably with some ideas, probably taking over the running of the league, as it were?
Yeah, no, that's exactly some of the things we wrestle with. To this point, like I said, we're all about collaboration and partnership. So, however we can work together with the federation and other leagues, we 100% try to do that. At the same time, there isn't organized league and season style play for kids right now in Cameroon. What we've seen is there's a lot of local tournaments, which is the kind of popular way to do it, where someone sets up a tournament. A lot of the teams, they train, show up to the tournament, they play for a few days, if at the most, and then nothing happens for 6 months, whatever it is, until the next tournament. So, I mean, that's fantastic. That's a great way to provide playing time for kids and judge skill level. But for us, we wanted that kind of day in, day out training with coaches, with communities to really develop players and have more touch points with some of the character development and leadership aspects that we're trying to build into the game. Because if you only train for a few months really hard for the tournament and then nothing, we wanted to add that layer of consistency, as well as really train kind of the timeline and structure, if you will, for these players that might go on above it. So if they're not used to training every day, they're not used to, playing 1 or 2 games a week, all they've done growing up was play one tournament every 6 months. Like, we want to help provide the best solutions for the players that will make it, so that they're used to the structure, they're used to the timeline. Yeah.
Okay. And again, it goes to answer that question about, the way, and I want to generalize now. I want to be specific, and I want to use Nigeria as a yardstick. In Nigeria, we have the under 17. We always want that progression from under 17 to under 20 to under 23, then to the Super Eagles, obviously, and no age limit that there. But most times we seem to always miss it. Okay, we see talented, multiple pool of under 17s that they've gone there, they won the World Cup and what have you. And by the time you should be thinking about them maturing into playing for the Super Eagles, they fade out. So is your model, what you're doing in Cameroon right now, will it be really addressing issues like that?
I mean, time will tell, right? I hope. Yeah. I hope so. And like you said, similar in Cameroon, they have the U17 and 23s and all that, all the way up. But at that lowest level, there's nothing underneath it. So there's just a kind of a random hope that they might be able to scout some players and bring them into camp, which it can work, and occasionally it does, and teams do really well. But to have that consistent quality year after year, you have to start younger, and you have to create that kind of pipeline, that pathway moving up into those U17 teams. One, so the kids are used to it, they're used to the quality, so that by the time they hit that 17, go up to U20, 23, Super Eagle level, they're used to it, and they can handle the pressure. They've built the character around it, and they understand it.
I'm going to take a question from our comment sections. So I've got Namdi Madiche says, is there a difference between football school and football academy? Does skill have anything to do with it?
Yeah. Let's see. So I would say sometimes those are blended. So there's a football school and academy. So hopefully this answers the question, but some are residential, where players will live on site. They'll have school for part of the day and then football training for the rest of the day. So those are blended as far as a football school and academy. And then at the same time, those can also be separate. So a player might live with his family go to his normal school, but then go to an academy for training because he's a part of that academy. So they're separate. So hopefully that answers the question. Yeah. And then the scale part, I'm not sure exactly, which that was referring to. Maybe they could clarify a bit.
Okay, Namdi, if you're still watching, if you can clarify that. And obviously, Namdi also said that I'm actually thinking about something cutting across borders. Paul and team have just started with Cameroon just 5 years ago. And obviously, it's one of the things we actually talk backstage. And Paul, we're going to be talking about that much later in the show. And I'll take another question from Emmanuel Magaji, Dr. Emmanuel Magaji. He said, can we get more insight into your business practices? Since it's not an academy, how will you describe your foundation?
Yeah, great question.
You've already addressed that. Yeah.
No, that's a great question. And so something really important to us was trying to build a plan with sustainability built into it. Because we know, and we've all seen, people come in, they start academies or schools or whatever it is. And once the funding dries up from wherever they're getting it, it's done, and it doesn't have any kind of long-term local buy-in or sustainability built into it. So part of the business practices right now, we do actually have some donations and some corporate partners getting us to the point of sustainability. We have a 3-year plan built in where once we're at that point, programs will be run on their own with a variety of revenue streams. So they could be field rental. We will use our coaching curriculum to run courses that we can charge to the community. Hopefully at that point, the academies we work with will have done a good job, so they're elevated a bit and they can start charging for their academies. So even if it's $1 a month or whatever it is, they've at least provided enough value to players in their community for their parents and families to see it's worth me investing a bit into this community, into my son or daughter's club. So we're trying to build that sustainability layers down. And, that's just one example. We have a few different revenue streams that we're working on.
Okay, and I'm just come back with a scale clarity. A scale in terms of academy, school size, and partnership with school councils, as opposed to being a sole proprietor initiative.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. We've talked about collaboration a couple of times already. We're not trying to hold on to this model ourselves necessarily. My dream would be to help train this model around all parts of Africa and the world. Some people are doing similar things, which is great, and some things we've already learned from. But as far as scale and partnership and growth, the world's the limit, really. We could take this anywhere. It's more a question of capacity, funding, revenue. But yeah, as far as sharing the model, tweaking it to fit different environments, 100% on board with that.
I'll take one last question from our comment section. Timmy Chopper said, what age would you advise anyone who really wants to play or join an academy proceed? So what age are we looking at for you to, or probably you guys accept people into your football association?
Yeah, so we have organized teams at the U12 level right now with the academies we work with. And then we host kind of a higher level team within our association where we select the best players from our association and they play at a higher level. So they get to play different teams. And those teams, it's the same. We have a U13 and I think a U15 group for boys and girls. So we work about that age, starting from 11, 12 on the way up. But to be honest, we would like to start even sooner, provide programs and kind of some fun style, really just playtime for kids, going down to ages 5 and 6, just get the ball, run around, have fun with it. Because that really starts the process of opening some kids' eyes to play and how they move up to it. And it's just fun, to be honest. The first time I kicked a ball, I had fun, and I still have fun today. So, if that has to be part of it, in my opinion. So, as soon as you can start, the better. Obviously, that depends on which academy or which group has organized classes for, what's available. But so yeah, we kind of start organizing around the 12 age limit, but if you can, start even sooner.
Okay, so we'll be taking more questions later, and if please keep them questions coming in. Paul, I just want to ask you this: starting anything in Africa is always a bit of a headache, and we just need to call a spade now. It's not as easy as it should be. I mean, getting the ground, getting the people, getting funding, getting the government, the society, the community to buy into your program it's another level. How easy was it for you in Cameroon?
Like you said, it's not easy. But that's part of the reason why this hasn't succeeded continent-wide yet. That's part of the reason why some of these kids don't have places to play, because it's not easy, and I think it eliminates some of the people that might want to get started but don't have the connections or the resources to push through. But yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to belief and passion for us. We realize this is a mission of ours, and we want to make this happen, and we want to do it right. So if that takes a while, it's going to take a while. But maybe more specifically, one example might be we submitted our paperwork to become a sports association in Cameroon, 4 or 5 years ago when we began, and I think it took a year and a half maybe to get the form stamped on it. And it only I think it might have only cost $30 or something like that. But yeah, it's a very slow process. A lot of bureaucracy and a lot of red tape, but that's partly why we want to keep doing what we're doing. We want to provide that clear, organized, transparent pathway, and really build great relationships with the federation, with CAF, and other leading organizations there. Which, I mean, they have their own problems, but we're there to help provide football development in Cameroon. So if that can help AFCON and CAF and FECAFOOT and the local federations, so be it. We would love that.
And so far as how's the cooperation with the FECAFOOT and all that, how's it been with Petrichor?
Yeah, it's been great up to this point. So our co-founder Jordan, like I said, he was coaching, in the professional leagues there for a while, so he had built some good relationships. And I think based off of that, we've had great relationships with the different technical directors, leaders of women football in Cameroon. We've been invited, I think it's 3 times now, when FIFA comes down and they have showcases based on youth football. They always ask us to come and represent. So, we have a great relationship with them. And like I said, we'd love to support the development of FECAFOOT and youth football as much as we can. But, that's also paired with some of that bureaucracy, and you got to figure out a way to make it all work. But yeah, we appreciate what they're doing, and we have a good relationship so far, and we'd like to keep it that way.
And so far, you've talked about pathway structures and what have you. If you can give us some of the examples of the pathways and structures that you've managed to put in place to make sure that not just your association succeed, but that football development in Cameroon is actually on the path to realizing that, hey, we need to do something, and change some mentality around here to make sure we succeed.
Yeah. So what we've developed kind of, might repeat a bit as far as our model is, we wanted to work with people that were already doing this. So we submitted, we got the word out there and said, hey, who wants to apply to be a member of Petrichor? And we selected a few at the beginning. And with that, we worked with them a lot as far as organizing things as simple as registering your players. Get your players registered, even if they're young, which is a foreign concept there. You don't spend any money on a 11-year-old kid because you don't know, it might not be worth it for them. But what we're saying is, whether they're, talented or not, get them registered, professionalize your academy, so that because that gives the image and the branding to your community that you're on the path to doing things right. So we really wanted to provide some of those lessons and work with our academies to become more professional, even at that youth level, and to provide dignity for the kids. a lot of times you see some of the youth don't have that internal value until they're old enough or maybe perform at a certain level. But some of the aspects we want to build in is you all have value and a lot of potential and a great future ahead of you. And we want to invest in that, whether you're going to be a professional footballer or a lawyer or a teacher. Providing that dignity at that youth level goes a long way. So yeah, it can be as simple as register your players, show up to the tournament on time, clean up the field afterwards, become more professional and really own what you do. Because in the long run, that attracts talent to you. That attracts better players. It attracts better people, better coaches. So everyone goes up together once you start with those simple things.
So, Paul, we're going to go on a quick break now, and when we come back, we continue the show. But when we come back, obviously, we are still going to talk about. I think we're going to show. We've got some clips we're going to show.
Perfect.
So when we come back from the break, we're going to show some clips so people watching will see what you've been doing, what kind of pitch you play on. Because I'm sure some people have probably got some idea that maybe we're going to show you the kind of pitch they play on. And you just stay there, Paul, and we'll join you in about a minute or two. So we're going for a break now. It's still the Way Show with Wole, and I've got here Paul, who is co-founder of Petrichor Football Association in Cameroon. We'll be back in a jiffy. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that short clip on the Petrichor Football Association. You could see the pitch where the young ones were training, both boys and girls, really having fun, smile on the faces, learning a thing or two about football, not just football, but things outside football, football management, administration, what have you. And Paul, I had a look at that, and I'm sure everyone watching saw that, and the smile on the faces of the children was catchy. It was very infectious there.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose that's probably your push, kind of.
Yeah, we can talk about all the structure, regulations, bureaucracy, pathways, all that stuff. But when it really comes down to it, there was a clip or a part of that clip where a really young boy got his first pair of boots. I don't know if you saw, he was kind of sitting down, had a big smile on his face. And to be able to provide that, like to see his eyes light up, like that's his first pair of boots. Who knows what that will do, to that kid. And, he might become the next, so who knows? Or he might not, but but that moment, can really change the trajectory. So, like I said, when it comes down to it, all the other stuff is worth it when you see that you're able to help provide a moment of joy and happiness and just exhilaration for kids, especially around football. So, yeah, that's what it's all about.
And obviously, we also saw the next clip. We saw like a football competition going on. Was that part of the association's tournaments that we saw?
Yeah, so that was actually part of our internal league. So we do a lot of league development, like I was talking about earlier. So that was some of our older girls playing, both Petrichor teams playing each other. So we host a lot of internal leagues where all of our teams will play each other, kind of on a Champions League style, where they do a home and away game. So yeah, that was one of the games recently, with a really good goal, by the way. Yeah,
I was brilliant. I saw that and I was like, woof.
Yeah,
top one. Yeah. So tell me about the impact you're making in the lives of female football. I mean, the girls. I saw some of the girls down there, and you know, because female football in Africa seems to be growing now. And I mean, we recently saw a competition, a mini competition in Nigeria recently, the Aisha Buhari Cup, that was won by South Africans. And female football, it's going places, and I know that's part of the of part of your project over there. Tell me how it's growing in Cameroon at the moment, and what you guys actually doing to making sure that it is improved than the way you met it.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's always been a priority for part of what we do. And starting from the day one that members join our academies or they join our association, one of the requirements is they have to build a girls team. Some of them already have, a few girl players that play with the boys, but we require them to take that a step further and build out a full youth girls team. And they have a little bit of time to do that, and we help provide resources on how to do that. But yeah, as a Petrichor member academy, that's a requirement to build girls teams. And as that has grown, it has provided more opportunity, more excitement, more trust within the community for more girls to have those opportunities. And like you said, across the continent, the game is growing for women. I'm definitely no professional on women's football development, but we're doing what we can. We're trying to bring in the right people to build this really well. But I would say the passion, the potential in the players on the girls' side, it's always been there. It's just a matter of who's going to provide that opportunity and create those chances for the girls to play. So that's a huge passion of what we do. And we've quickly become one of the largest girls development initiatives in the country. I mean, maybe West Africa, I don't know, but at least Cameroon, we're the biggest, at least organized development initiative for providing pathways for girl players.
Namjis also come up with a question, sir. He said, do you have any current top 5 teams in Elite 1 have their own academies today? I suppose the question would be, do they supply teams to your academies, to your football association, or is this just independent of the top clubs in Cameroon?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So the academies that we work with, some of them have teams in the Division 3, Division 2, and Division 1 and Elite 1 groups. One of them, Green City, I think has a team in the Division 3 right now. They had previous teams in Division 1, but not right now. a lot of those players that we've worked with either play for some of those groups or even other places in Europe. So I know some of the academies we work with have great relationships with clubs like Fortuna and other groups. I was there. I think I watched one of the Fortuna training sessions when I was there last. So yeah, we have a lot of great relationships with those clubs, but I don't think any of our clubs currently are in that Elite One level. Our goal is to build up into that with the quality. So we don't want to just start a club, right? We don't want to just begin just so that we can have one. Our desire around the game is to see that quality grow and build with the quality. So right now we have a U16 girls group that's playing really well. Some of them were in that clip you just saw. So we want to use that club and grow, with those players, and they will grow up into those divisions. So in the next year or two, you might see a Division 3, next year Division 2, and then that group will grow up into Division 1, right? And then all the underneath girls teams will build up into that pro team. So if the quality is there, we're willing to invest in moving up into professional levels. But until that happens, we want to keep doing what we're doing.
Do you have a say in any of these teams that are currently in the association where maybe they got scouts from somewhere in Europe comes over, have a look in them and like spot one or two talents are like, yeah, I want to take them to clubs back in Europe or wherever. Do you have a say in determining if those players should go at that time or not?
Yeah, so it can kind of go both ways. And to be honest, we're sorting some of that out right now because we want to do it really well and really responsibly. So currently, if someone comes down and sees a player in one of our member academies, they can do whatever they want. They're not limited or, bound by law to give us their players at the moment. What we've built into that relationship is trust. So most of the time, coaches would come to us and say, is this a good deal? Is this a smart move? Is this the best opportunity? And we're just there as kind of a sounding board with our network of scouts and agents to say, yeah, that's a good move, or get this information first. Because our priority is taking care of the players and the coaches. So we know sometimes there's a lot of, shady agents out there, and we want to make sure the player is taken care of really well and has a really good process and is represented well. So that's one side of it. We encourage that, and that's fantastic because that means that academy is growing, right? That means they're doing well. Mm-hmm. So our job is done at that point, and we can keep growing. So that's good. The other side is if some of their players are selected for our elite team pathway, that becomes more of a Petrichor player representation. So those best players move through our pathway and up into those division teams. If they're attracting attention, seen by scouts, then we would have that conversation with that organization and the elite team coach. Yeah.
And tell me about what programs you've got for coaching, because obviously your association is just not for players. You've got other stuff for coaches. Is that a pathway to develop coaching, not just with Fecafoot? Are they going to be certified by Fecafoot? One, is it going to be a CAF-wide certification, or what is the pathway to that with regards to coaching?
Yeah, so at the base level, we provide a few different curriculum courses for our coaches. Mm-hmm. And we used to do it every 2 years. With COVID, it kind of messed it up, but we run all of our coaches through our curriculum for kind of starting at a base level. So the base level starts with, that youth psychology around football and appropriate behavior as a coach and all the stuff outside of the actual game, right? So we go through a lot of that first. And then once our coaches are through all of that, then we build on top of that with the theory, the method, the tactics around how we want to see the game played. So we run all our coaches through that. And then there's kind of another level of, higher level, tactical strategy, player ID, some of that after the coaches have been through that foundation course. We have offered some of our coaches we've offered to pay for some of our coaches to get certified by Fecafoot and some others. So some of them have started that process of joining the Fecafoot coaching pathway. But up to this point, we've we've really handled our coaches ed internally and brought over some partners from, we had a partner from LA Galaxy, Orange County, some youth development soccer shot coaches. And then coming up next year, we're excited to partner with some other really big football federations to provide women's education specifically for women coaches.
And it comes to this next question, I'm kind of like excited about. Are you going to expand outside Cameroon? Are you looking to go into some other African countries? Because two things I've actually picked from everything you said today, which I think is actually pertinent, very, very important to developing sports, especially football in Africa: pathway, structure. Okay. And those two things, Africa is, well, obviously we've got the talent and everything, but the structure of the pathway is always the problem, and that's where we're missing. Okay. So are you thinking about expanding to other countries? And if so, what other countries are you looking at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, I would say for sure, yes. It's always in my mind. But that's also part of, not necessarily a problem, but I have to make sure to do it responsibly. So with our team, we purposefully grew the first few years very slowly to test the model and to really tweak and make any changes necessary. And we're still learning and we'll still grow, I'm sure. But we wanted to make sure it worked first before we kind of, did interviews and did things like that to start spreading it around. But yes, we built the model so that it can grow, so that anyone can do it. So our staff in Cameroon, they could teach this in Douala, the next town's over, if they want. A dream of mine would to be able to send our staff to Nigeria or Kenya or South Africa and run a short training session for grassroots level coaches that need structure. And in partnership with the federation, how do we do this? A dream would be for Fakeafoot or CAF even to say, hey, can you guys help us develop youth football structures in our country nationwide, help develop a curriculum that then they can provide? That would be, I could be done at that point, right? You definitely got it. And that's not, so all that to say, we don't want to step on anyone's toes. We don't want to go in and do something that someone else is already doing. That's a waste of time and money, So I know there are groups doing similar things in different areas, which is amazing, and they should keep doing that. So it's more of, how do we do this responsibly? Really build up local coaches, local education programs. Because it's not realistic for me to do it. I can help do Petrichor and I can help grow it. But in the end, it needs to take passionate people in all of these countries to take on that burden and create those structures for the good of their own communities.
Namdi has come up with a question. I think he actually says something about his question just now. Do any clubs have their own academies that may pose formidable competition to yours at the moment in Cameroon?
Yeah, so it's a little, I can explain it again. Basically, since we're an association, we don't necessarily have our own team, really. So we're kind of the structure for all of our academies underneath. So our academies play each other. Our member academies play each other. And some of them, are definitely better. We started our first games for the season this fall. And, one of the teams beat one of our best academies, beat another one 4-1. So, some of them beat each other. Our elite teams, which are kind of the best players within all of our academies that we select those players, we try to set up games with the National Academy, so Fakeafoot National Academy. And as an example, I think it was U16 boys team, 3 years ago we played them and lost. I think it was embarrassing, like 6-1 or something. It was a bad game. And then we played them again, 2 years later, and it was 1-1. So, yes, I think as we grow and as we develop and create these, consistency touch points of how players develop, how they get the mental side and gain composure in the game and really mature as players, Man, I'm excited over the next few years to see these players develop, and they're going to be some really strong teams.
Mm. And we're excited about this project, to be honest. And definitely one day we will be there live in Cameroon to see what you're doing. And
Come
we
on, yeah.
bring in, and we bring in footages back to people to see. Definitely we'll be doing that. We'll be talking about that at some point, Paul. But let me now go back to um, Cameroon's preparation for AFCON.
Yeah.
Would you say Cameroon is well prepared? Because we saw that beautiful draw they did sometime about a couple of months ago, which beautiful. A CAF president was there,
Mhm.
and all big sons of Africa footballers, the Drogba, Setu, all of them were there. Do you think Cameroon is ready to host Africa?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm in Portland right now, so I can't say
Yeah.
100% for sure. But from our relationships and what we know of on the ground, I think they'll be pretty close. It's not going to be like the Euros. It's not going to be that. But yeah, for the tournament, which is going to be amazing. I think they're on track to host a really great tournament. Like you said, you
Mm.
saw that stadium. Some of the contractors are doing an amazing job with the pitch and the preparations for the stadium and how all that's going to work. Part of my hope is to see some of the tech side develop as quickly as the physical assets on the ground. So, technology is advancing quickly in Africa, and I would hope to see some of the fan engagement or ticketing or sponsorships be a lot more tech focused to really stay on top of that game with that physical stadiums being built too. So I haven't seen as much of that, but I'm hoping that that's being built on the back end that they could take advantage of.
And what would you say about Cameroon football as a whole? Would you say um, Cameroon is probably on a step to reclaiming back its old glory? I mean, back in the days, especially when they had the Big brothers, you had the Roger
Mhm.
Mila. When you see Cameroonian team, we saw what they did in the World Cup.
Yeah.
Brilliant team. And there was like a downside into to what they were doing. Cameroon football was just like, the Nigerians came up, the Ghanaians, and now the Senegalese are there, Ivorians, obviously. Do you see Cameroonian football resurrecting, so to say, and obviously with the big players coming back to reclaim past glories?
Yeah, no, I love thinking about that, and even with some of our camps and seeing some of those kids play, I just kind of dream someday, like maybe I'll see that player, on the national team system, scoring a goal or whatever. So I kind of dream about the future a bit. But yeah, I mean, similar to other countries around there, for sure. They're on the way back to really strong teams, and not just strong, but like unbeatable. Like I could see some of the structure of what we're doing and some of the other academies in the region providing that pathway. Um, for me, two things come to mind. One is the introduction of some of the data and statistics and GPS monitoring and kind of the tech side of the game right now. And in the I'm not sure. I would say in the next 4 or 5 years, if clubs haven't adopted that well, they're going to be behind. So part of what we're trying to do is add that into our game, even at the youth level, of really paying attention to the stats, the completion, the heat maps on the field, to really analyze how can you beat opponents every time, that consistency. So the technology side of it, and I'm sorry to bring up this example, but South
Mm.
Africa beat Nigeria, right, in that women's tournament, and
Uh,
I'm sorry about that, but the article was brilliant, right, about the analyzing the way Nigeria was playing, and I think
mhm.
that's how South Africa won. They watched a lot of game footage, they analyzed the movement, and they built a team around that, and it's pretty clear. That's a great way to win a game.
And
So yeah.
and I totally agree with you. I think that's probably one of the reasons why we've been no African country has actually ventured, you know, probably to semi-finals or probably dreaming about winning the World Cup. Forget the fact that we've got tons of African players out there in the English Premier League, Italia, French Ligue 1, and what have you. But the key thing is, just like you said, adapting to technology. When you come back home to training camps in Africa, what do? Fine, you've got Europeans that are technical advisors and what have you, but what are you doing? Are you adapting to, the system, the tech? I was reading today about the Chelsea Football Club. The manager took ordering for 8 additional cameras in Cobham in the camp, just to see our players, to analyze players training. Those are people serious about football. I mean, for you to have additional cameras looking at the way players run, they recover, the dribble, the position, and whatever you to analyze. I mean, that's probably the way forward, and it's a good thing that at this very moment you are doing that at the very basic level, at the foundation level, so that when people now decide to grow up, they're already used to this kind of technology, and they'll be able to, effect changes to football, not just in Cameroon but all over Africa. Well, what can I say? I'll just what's you already told me about the vision anyway of Petrichor, and sorry, Namdi's talking about money now. Any insights on your funding model? I know you mentioned it about sponsorship and what have you in the past when you started. So I don't know if you want to say anything about your funding model.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I touched on a bit earlier. So up to this point, we've been very fortunate to find a few kind of private sponsors and corporate funding sponsors to help us get to this point as far as programs on the ground. But again, like I said, in the long run, that's not sustainable for what we're doing. So kind of our dream is to facilitate some talks with Cameroonian companies and even countries or companies around West Africa possibly, but some kind of local organization that wants to sponsor what we're doing, because that's more sustainable in the long run, in our opinion. So, sponsor that youth club all the way up to Division I teams. So, I mean, that's hard work, and it takes, relationship building, it takes some trust, it takes some education to know, how do you approach big sponsors and manage that. But yeah, I would say the funding model to start was you just got to get started. Everyone's got a dream, everyone has ideas, but the people that make it are the ones that make it happen. And so we decided, let's do this. And each step we take, sometimes we have no idea what's going to happen or how it's going to happen, but we know nothing's going to happen unless you take a step. So as far as funding right now, we're at that kind of in-between point where we're finding opportunities with some investors, not quite over the line yet, but yeah, you just got to start, and then the rest kind of falls into place as you grow.
And Petrichor, who suggested that name? Yeah,
so funny story. It was actually I'll have to send this to my friend Jay, a good friend of mine. So we were, it was kind of on a deadline for some of our tax paperwork for our name and how we had to get it in under a certain time. And we're like, what are some names? Like, do we want to do like Hope Academy or like Dream Academy or something kind of like that? One, all of those were taken. And two, we wanted to create something that went a little deeper with the name. So my friend Jay sent me, hey, what do you think about the name Petrichor? I'm like, what is that? Is that even English? What is that? And so yeah, he sent me kind of like what it meant, and it was perfect. So I don't know if you read on the site, but what it means is it's that concept of like hope and growth and what's coming next. So the technical definition is like actually the smell of dry earth when it first rains. So after a dry season, rain comes, and it's just that sense of like, oh, things are going to grow again. So our connection with that word is we're providing that growth, that spark, that catalyst to really take Cameroon football to the next level again, to where it used to be, if not further. And hopefully our organization can become a part of that.
I'll say amen to that, Paul. We wish you all the very best. Like I said, we will be keeping tabs on what you're doing,
For sure.
and we will definitely be at some point, probably next year when COVID is all very relaxed. We'll be coming over to your football association to watch what you're doing.
Yeah, let us know. We'll host it for sure.
Thank you. And then we'll be able to talk more about, especially when we're on the ground, we talk to the players, the kids, the coaches, and the staff over there. But before then, I just want to wish you all the very best. Our best wishes to your co-founder, our best wishes to all the staff there, and also to all the kids down there. And hopefully one day we'll be talking about one or two of them in the English Premier League,
Let's
playing
do
for
it,
them big
man. Yeah.
teams.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Paul, for coming on the program. And hopefully one
Yeah.
day again we'll bring you in to talk about some of the other things you're planning. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks so much, man. We appreciate it a lot and appreciate what you're doing. Thanks for bringing light to organizations like ours and others that are doing their best.
Thank you so much, Paul, and enjoy the rest of your day in Portland there, sunny
All right.
Portland.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care. So that's the way show for today. We've heard from the co-founder of Petrichor Football Association in Cameroon, doing wonders there for the kids of Cameroon, and hopefully one day we'll be talking about some of them playing in the big teams. You never know. Like you said, it's possible they probably will play for them big teams, or they go on to become, who knows, big time solicitors, big time politicians. Whatever they've learned from the foundation will be useful for them when they grow up. That's the show for today. And once again, I wanted to thank Paul and team for what they're doing in Cameroon and what they intend to also do, when the time comes for the rest of the African continent. I also want to thank everyone that's made comment today. I want to especially thank Professor Nandi Medici. Thank you, Prof, for those wonderful questions. Also, there another prof, Professor Emmanuel Mogaji, a friend of the program, who's also made contributions to this program today. Mr. Sugarman, thank you for joining the show. Dion, Olajimoke, Sandra Sylvester, I want to thank you. Steve Sheen, Timmy Tokpe, Mogaji, thank you. And if I have not mentioned your name, please forgive me. There's quite a lot of people today that joined the show. Thank you for joining, by the way. And if you like the show, please don't forget to tell somebody about it. Make sure you give that thumbs up for the show. And like I said, tell somebody about the show. And obviously, spread the word about Petrichor. Don't forget, they are online. So if you Google Petrichor Football Association Cameroon, you should be able to see their website and obviously see all the wonderful things they're doing. And if you think you are able to also volunteer for what they're doing, feel free to do that on their website. Okay. And thank you for joining us on the show. Tomorrow we've got the Football Show Monday returns. So we'll be talking about all things football again. We'll be talking about African players doing well in Europe and every other part of the world. So we'll be the football show tomorrow, and it's at 8 p.m. Okay, don't forget to join us for that. It promises to be exciting. I've got our co-host, someone that's going to be with me, Amos Joseph, that's going to be joining us, and we'll be talking about football. All right. Before I leave you, I think there's another comment that's come. Okay, all right. Don't worry about that. It's been wonderful today talking football. And football development in Africa, both the female and the male side, and the wonderful work Petrichor are doing. Thank you, Sandra Eka Sylvester. So you can't wait for the football show tomorrow. Thank you. Just stay there. Tomorrow, 8 p.m. We'll be back with the football show Monday. So before then, I want to say thank you also to my producer, who's made sure that you can hear me, you can see me, and obviously you can see Paul all the way in Portland in the United States. Yomi Omagbeja is his name. He's the producer of the show. Thank you so much, Yomi, for that. I hope to see you sometime soon. Before then, have a very lovely week ahead. All right. Be good and be safe out there. Okay. Bye-bye.